Moving to a new city, enduring a prolonged lockdown, or simply hitting a mental health slump creates a profound sense of isolation. When people feel disconnected, they naturally look for a quick way to fill that void. Dating apps step in as an immediate, frictionless solution to that emotional vacuum. With just a few swipes, you can instantly start talking to someone and get the attention you've been craving. But that convenience relies on removing the traditional social safety net. Normally, meeting people in public communities or through mutual friends creates a web of connections that naturally filters out bad actors. Swipe-based apps strip away those nodes entirely, leaving you with a single, unprotected line directly to a complete stranger. Bypassing that natural filtration turns the dating pool into a hunting ground, and inside that exposed environment, three distinct types of digital predators thrive. Users think they are casually swiping on potential partners. In reality, they are engaging with an architecture that intentionally bypasses their front door, leaving them entirely vulnerable to whoever is waiting on the other side. Consider the case of a young man going through a severe depressive slump. He downloaded Tinder and matched with a woman named Zoe. This introduces our first archetype, the infiltrator. The infiltrator's primary weapon is volume. Within days of matching, Zoe used rapid, intense text messaging and talked about starting a family together. She exploited his loneliness to manufacture a false sense of deep intimacy, accelerating a connection that usually takes months to build. Once that digital hook was set, she aggressively breached his physical boundaries. When he tried to cancel plans to see his friends, Zoe showed up uninvited, physically wedging herself into his doorway until he gave in and let her stay. When he tried to pull back and slow things down, the escalation was immediate. He canceled a date because he was stuck at work, and within 2 hours, she arrived at his locked laboratory and violently pounded on the glass door until his colleagues almost called the police. The horrifying climax came a few days later. After calling out sick from work, the victim walked into his bedroom, turned on the light, and looked in his full-length mirror. Reflected at the bottom, calmly hiding under his bed, was Zoe. When police arrived, they found her exactly there, armed with a large knife. The infiltrator is exceptionally dangerous because they aren't hiding behind a fake profile. They use their real identity, weaponizing the fast-tracked intimacy of an app to completely bypass the slow, cautious timeline of a safe, real-world relationship. In the middle of the 2020 pandemic lockdowns, another man, starved for social interaction, matched on Bumble with a woman named Kelsey. This introduces our second archetype, the phantom. He was naturally cautious about meeting a stranger, so he ran his own psychological vetting process. He looked her up online and verified her active, robust Instagram and Facebook profiles. By all accounts, she was a real, normal person. But he was falling for a stolen paper trail. Predators frequently hijack legitimate social media accounts belonging to real, innocent people.
They use these vibrant, active profiles to completely disarm a victim's natural skepticism. Leveraging that false trust, this phantom convinced the victim to meet under highly isolated circumstances. She lured him to the closed, unlit side of a massive public park near a local lake, asking him to park in the dark at 12:30 in the morning. There was no Kelsey waiting in the dark. Instead, he was ambushed by two violent men, one tall and gaunt, the other massive. They chased him back to his car and smashed against his window before he slammed the accelerator and barely escaped. The phantom highlights a critical vulnerability in modern dating. Digital verification is detached from physical reality. A vetted, seemingly genuine profile on a screen guarantees absolutely nothing about the human waiting for you in the real world. A young man, struggling to make friends after moving to a new town for work, matched on Tinder with a goth woman named Beth. This reveals our third archetype, the lure. The lure's primary tactic is intense mirroring. The victim despised social media, and Beth conveniently called it the devil, refusing to use it. She aggressively mirrored his niche preferences to build absolute, unquestioning trust. Using that trust, she pulled him entirely out of his comfort zone. She convinced him to go on a romantic hike at 1 in the morning. He drove them an hour out of town until they lost cellular service, following her into a pitch-black, off-grid forest. The hike ended in a remote clearing where the trap was sprung. Beth calmly pulled a bag of clinking metal tools from behind a rock.
Suddenly, 3 older women emerged from the trees, speaking an unknown language, and forcefully pinned the victim to the ground. Relying on pure adrenaline, he broke the zipper on his sweatshirt, slipped out of their grasp, and sprinted blindly into the dark woods. The lure rarely acts alone. They operate as a highly specialized scout. By using extreme personalization, they groom vulnerable targets and deliver them directly into the hands of organized real-world danger. Looking closely at all 3 of these case studies, a chilling commonality emerges. The moment the physical violence occurs, the predator's digital footprint instantly vanishes. The very architecture of these dating apps ends up protecting the predator. Victims build a dense trail of messages, numbers, and profile data tying them to a person, but the predator holds control. With one button press, they unmatch and delete their profile. The digital history dissolves instantly, leaving 0 evidence. When victims reach out for help, they realize law enforcement is primarily equipped for physical threats. Armored police officers and caution tape are effectively useless against digital phantoms, who leave absolutely no physical or digital trace behind. We have to treat the digital and physical worlds as 2 entirely separate realities. If you decide to meet someone online, you must reinstate your own real-world safety nets. Demand public meetings, enforce slow pacing, and trust your gut. The app's algorithm simply cannot and will not protect you from the digital monsters hiding behind the screen.